Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you, friends? Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing great. Good morning. Hello, hello. How are you? This day finds you well, and there is good and beauty in this day for you. It is a steamy one today, and that I hope you're staying cool. Good morning. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning. Hello, hello. How are you, everybody? Doing all right? Hello, friends. Good to see you on this day. It's going all right. All right, we'll let a few more folks come along here and get going in a second. Good morning. Okay. Let's get going this morning. It is the 15th day of July. July is halfway over, friends. It's the 15th day of July here on this Tuesday at 11:11, and I hope you are well and whole and good on this day. I spent most of yesterday down at the shelter where folks have been being cared for over the Tomeo Center uh, for um, for the that are displaced from the Gabriel House fire. It is a tragic scene. I imagine you may well have heard about it. It is if you're hearing this later on, that's fine. But um, this is a day of great sadness in the city that 9 folks at Gabriel House lost their lives, and we have um, through it all watched the city rally around to care for those who are in hospital and to care for those who are displaced and to find new uh, places for these folks who are truly the most vulnerable folks in our community. To be at Gabriel House is a hard place on any day, and it is and so and they're folks with significant challenges. So keep them in your prayers. That there is an outpouring of help and support. If you want. I was just on a call this morning about different ways agencies and people are helping. Really, the best way to help is if you can share a few dollars to be able to. It's on the church's Facebook page, the Firefighters Wives Association who have helped in other fires in the past, and they're a wonderful service. Sharon up there is just terrific in terms of the ability to collect funds and help to get them on a personal level to the places that they need to go where they can do the very best help. Catholic Charities is going full guns. The city is engaged. It really is to be and bear witness to the incredible amount of support and love and care that has gone out in the midst of this tragedy. And so I was there yesterday, kind of helping out around the edges as best we could, and just hearing the stories of those who don't have much in this world, and what little they had they've lost, who are saying goodbye to friends that they had held dear over time, and the grief and the loss that comes with all of that. Um, it made me think of the end of uh, Matthew. where Jesus' words, this is Jesus' words to us as he is headed towards the ascension, is headed towards the reception of the Holy Spirit, the movement of God in the world. And he says, remember this, kind of, surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. The Herald News put together an article, actually, which was just a great little article, because when we talk about fires in the city, Fall River's actually had a history of incredible fires, like many cities have. It's not unique in that way, but they have all made an incredible impression upon the city. We had when I had just arrived here, we had the response to the Four Winds fire and all that brought. We have then in 1987 there was the Kerr Mill fire where 900 people lost their jobs in one day. Some of the pictures of Kerr Mill in going up in flames are some of the still incredibly spectacular pictures of what happened in there. Before that, in 1982, Notre Dame de Lourdes, Our Lady of Lourdes, one of the prettiest and most kind of beautiful, named after Our Lady of Lourdes, churches in the city, burned to the ground, and the incredible loss that's still felt. I still talk to people about how they're kind of heartbreaks around the Notre Dame fire. In that the Herald goes on to say that in 1982 there was a 1928, sorry, there was nearly a whole block that was burned down, professional building, the bus station, from just some workers who were trying to keep warm. They were huddled around a burn barrel, and the fire got away from them. In 1847, there was a granite mill, the Granite Mill number 1 fire, and 23 people died because in many ways the ladders couldn't reach to the top floors of the mills to try and get them out, and it actually that fire changed regulations around the country around boiler safety and safety standards about how you heat a space and that sort of stuff. Again, another incredible tragedy right in our town, and that doesn't even count the greatest fire, which is called, well, the Great Fire, because everybody seems to have a great fire at some point. But in 1843, where 291 buildings go up, it's where the city's motto, "We'll try," actually is formed in this thing, because the city was so devastated that when the effort was called to rebuild, the call was, "We'll try," and that there was this endeavor to rebuild the city in the midst of it, and all of that from 2 little boys who got a toy cannon, and they were playing with this toy cannon, and it ignited some sawdust, some shavings, and nearly most of the city would go into ruins. Over 200 families would be displaced in 1843, which there was no Red Cross coming to help. There was little support in those days. We look at this to know that, and I tell you all this because not only did I think it was just worthy of the kind of explanation of the story of our city in terms of how the city's been shaped by these fires, and that how there's nothing new in the fact that it is contending with this loss and these difficulties and the struggle. But it brings me back to Matthew and the words of the great G.K. Chesterton, where Chesterton says, tragedy, and all of these that we've been talking about, to how this city and often how many of our lives are touched by tragedy and how are shaped by tragedy. And Chesterton says it this way. He says, a tragedy means always a person's struggle with that which is stronger than a person. A tragedy means a man's struggle with that which is stronger than a man. I think this is beautiful. because it's so that when it really is the lens upon the like what makes the tragic tragic, right? We can talk about the different elements, we can talk about the things, but what makes the tragic tragic is that it is us contending with, it is us struggling with the things that seem then stronger than us. These movements of chaos, these movements of our bodies being sick, these movements of our difficulties, these movements of fire that devastates places where where the most vulnerable of us live. That these notions that there is this tragic mix within our creation, and it means that and I love this as the signature thing of what makes the tragic really tragic, is that it is us contending with. A tragedy means always a man's struggle with that which is stronger than man. And then come back to Matthew's words, which is what I thought about these days, is that surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. That what I got to witness yesterday as I was spending time with those unfortunate souls and trying to help around the edges and getting some shoes and handing out some meals and stuff like that, and saying some prayers with them and praying that they would find homes and new placements, that in the midst of all of that, the confidence that in every person that was arriving there, that was seeking to help out, and all the different agencies that were mobilizing, and all the different people that were seeking to do the right thing in a wrong time, we could see the footprints, we could see the handprints, we could see the thumbprints of God's work in the world, the movement of the Spirit, of the caring that was outpouring, of the response to the tragic. You see, the thing is, the response to the tragic, it really is the tragic, because it is greater than us, but it is not greater than God. That God is always with us, even to the end of the age. When we talk about the end of the age, that's not that can you can think about that in a few different ways, but really it's the end of our age, the end of our life, the end of our being, the end of that God doesn't abandon us because our life will end. God doesn't abandon us. That actually it's God calling us home. That is, as systems break down and as other things break down, God hasn't abandoned us. But God is with us always, even through all of the fires, even through all of the tragedies, even through all of the difficulties. And that our encounter with the tragic is just that means that the situation is beyond us. But we always have to remember the situation is never beyond God. And so that as we continue to endeavor to care for those in our midst, as we continue to work and to care and to lean into the care of those who need placement in these hour. I encourage you, please pray for the families and those who are displaced, and that they can find a new placement, and that will be done well. That in all of this, that we remember and that we not fear, that we not lose hope, that no matter the fire, whether it is from this last tragedy, or from the car careening down the hill and crashing into the apartment building in the Four Winds fire, or whether it's the Kerr mill that burned and lost all of its jobs, or the Notre Dame that was consumed by fire and the loss of beauty, whether it's the bus terminal and the professional building, which just was a couple of people trying to keep warm in the cold, whether it was the granite mill fire where there were new ways of doing things that needed to be instituted, or whether it was just two boys playing with a little cannon that would end up burning down half the city. No matter what tragedy we point to, it will always exceed us. And that's what makes it tragic, says G.K. Chesterton. But it never exceeds God. Keep praying for those who are in need. Keep praying for your own sense of the tragic, and invite God into those places where you think it's just beyond you. Because God's love and God's grace and God's power and God's hope right there waiting for you to call upon it. And so my hope for you these days, friends, is that you will know the truth of these last words from Jesus. And surely I am with you always to the end of the age. Peace and grace to you, my friends, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.